Hi, my name is James L. Barry, and I'm the illustrator for the Warriors comic series, and today I'll be drawing Firestar. Again, it's best to start with simple shapes, whatever you're drawing. I'm drawing a cat, so I'm going to start off with a circle for his head, and I'm going to imagine a line that goes down the middle of the circle, and another line that goes across the circle, and then that helps me figure out where to place the second circle for his muzzle. All right, at this point, I could turn this into any kind of cat, but I know it's going to be Firestar, so I'm going to start sketching in his ears. He has more of a little squared off face, so I'm sort of sketching in that shape. He's going to be looking straight at us. Using those lines as a guide, I sketch in the placement of his eyes. And then I imagine some lines coming forward onto the muzzle. And I sketch in a triangle shape for his nose. Sketch in his mouth. So I'm going to indicate his body here with some lines. He's got a thicker neck than, say, Ravenpaw or Leaf Star. So some of the details about Firestar: he has thinner eyes, and he has sort of some dark lines above his eyes, sort of the opposite of Gray Stripe. So I'm sketching light and loose because I'm going to go over this with a pen later and add the details. All right, he has a wider nose than Gray Stripe. Firestar has some lines above his eyes, sort of a light pattern. He's mostly a fiery orange cat, but on some of the original paintings that I saw of Firestar, he had a little bit of marking on his head, so I used those. Also, they kind of reminded me of the shape of a flame. So now we have a simple sketch of Firestar. So now I'm going to go over this drawing with a pen and add a little bit more detail. I like to start with the outline of the head. Some little tufts of fur on his cheek, but obviously not as big as Gray Stripe. Okay, so I might indicate some tufts of fur on his head instead of making it completely smooth. So as I mentioned earlier, Firestar his eyes are thinner and have some darker lines on the top side of his eyes, sort of the opposite of Gray Stripe. I guess he was the second cat I was tasked with creating a character design for, so I just wanted them to be different than each other. He always kind of looks like he's squinting. All right, so then I'm going to, from the eyes, I'm going to draw, again, a little line that comes forward towards the nose. And I mentioned he has a wider shaped nose. So I've gone over the outline of the main features on his face. So I'm going to use a thinner pen to add some little hatch marks. Go around his muzzle, maybe a little bit on the chin, that come forward across the bridge of his nose. Then also we have the markings above his eyes. So I use little hatch marks there. Okay, so after that, maybe it's time to erase the pencil lines and we can go back and add any more details. So I'm going to use my brush pen to make some thicker lines around his head. Maybe the thickest line underneath his chin. The shadows in his ears. Maybe I'm going to refine those lines around his eyes. Again, he's got some dark lines above his eye. side of his nose. I'll clean that up a little bit. Alrighty, and I want to make sure I sketch in some tufts of hair in his ears. Maybe a few more little indications of fur around his cheeks, maybe under his eyes. And last but not least, we can't forget the spots on his muzzle where his whiskers come from. So it's little details like this that make each cat unique. Some cats have the spots on their muzzle, some cats don't. It just kind of depends on the character that I'm designing, and I decided that he would have some of those. And but they definitely all have whiskers, so maybe he's got 4 whiskers. And there we have a drawing of Firestar.